Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to do another fun block in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions ladder quilt project. In today's video we get to work on the first of the 3 potion bottles. This one right here that says Spooky Potion on it, this is potion bottle number 1. So go ahead and grab your plastic pouch or bag system that you have labeled potion bottle number 1, and let's head over to the machine and let's get started stitching. Okay, we are at the machine. I have a bobbin of white thread down below and I have white thread up in the top of my machine, and this block is going to be stitched in 2 different hoopings. It's going to be a 5x7 with a piece of water soluble stabilizer in it, where we're going to stitch the top plastic, and then we're going to do a second hooping where we'll use the poly no-show mesh stabilizer. For this first hooping, I want you to put a piece of the water soluble stabilizer. We're going to stitch out that plastic, and at the end we're going to wash away the backing on it so it has a perfectly clear backing for that plastic. So this is a great stabilizer to use to be able to literally dissolve whatever's left at the end of the block and make it perfectly clear, so that in the second hooping we can apply it to the fabric and make a potion bottle out of it. Okay, this will be fun. So let's go to the screen cam and let's load the design. Okay, so I'm going to wake my machine up. I have a Baby Lock Destiny, which is identical to the Brother Dream machine. If you have something similar, you can follow along. I'm going to go to Embroidery, going to go to my flash drive. Oh, and it's not loaded. So let's quickly put that in. There we go. Go back to OK. I'm going to click on the flash drive, and I'm going to go to Pumpkins and Potions. Okay, and now I'm looking for the bottle top that says Spooky Potion, which is this one right here. And what I mean by bottle top is it's not the actual potion bottle. It is the top of the bottle, let's click on it, that says Spooky Potion. So this we're going to stitch on the clear plastic that's in your embellishment kit, and this will be the top of the potion bottle. So we want to stitch this one out first. Click Set. There's no quilting designs or anything else. This is all we need to bring in. So I'm going to click Embroidery. Okay, so now let's go back to the hoop cam. Okay, so now I need you to get your plastic pouch system out. That is labeled Potion Bottle 1. And I'm going to just take out the white fabric in this one. Alright, let me just show you. This is going to be the background fabric for later. This is going to be the background of the potion bottle. This is going to be what we're going to use for the top here for the plastic. And this is going to be the bottle cap later on. So I want to set these 3 fabrics aside for use later. Then I also want you to grab your embellishment pack, and pardon the rattling here, and I want you to pull out, it gets kind of stuck to the top there. I want you to pull out the clear vinyl sheets that you have. Okay, and take the other pieces and put that aside. And if you remember, we saved the larger piece for the potion bottles. We have this one piece left over that has a small cutout in it. We, I believe, can use this for one of the potion bottles as well. So I'm going to put both of these pieces aside and have those handy, as well as my white fabric. Put that down in front of my machine. And now we're going to put the foot down, leave white thread up on the top of your machine, and we're going to stitch out the first stitch, which is the placement line for the clear vinyl. Here we go. Okay, so now I want you to get your piece of clear vinyl that you have, and I want you to lay it down so that it's going to tack down this vinyl in this next stitch. Now mine's going to be a little bit close on this side, but it'll be just fine. So I'm going to make sure that it's lined up more down to the larger piece here. The larger side right down here. Yeah, we're going to be good. And then I'm going to use embroidery tape to tape this down. Okay, so let's put a couple pieces of embroidery tape, either the Kimberbell paper tape, or I have this pink embroidery tape. Doesn't matter which, as long as you tape this down, because this one you really don't want moving, because it could be such a tight stitch here that I don't want even 1/8 of an inch of movement, because then the vinyl won't tack down where it needs to. So once you've got yours taped and it fully covers those placement lines, let's go ahead and put the foot down, leave white thread up on top, and let's stitch out this tack down. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to leave white thread up on the top of my machine because my fabric for this next section is white. If your fabric is something different, put a matching thread to your fabric in the top of your machine. And now we're going to stitch a placement line of where we're going to put that fabric. So foot down and stitch out the placement line. You got this. Okay, now you're going to put that fabric right side up. So in my instance, it's a glittery white fabric with silver, and I want to make sure that's up. That's just a wrinkle. So I'm going to make sure that wrinkle's on the outside edge. And I'm going to place that fabric down and just make sure that you cover all of the placement line. Use your stylus to hold it down, and let's tack this fabric down. White thread is still up on the top of your machine. So now I want you to take the hoop off the machine and go ahead and trim the fabric only all the way around the outside of that placement line. Fabric only, don't trim this yet. And I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so I trimmed up that fabric, that works. Now we're going to stitch the decorative outline. And I'm going to leave mine as white thread so it does the accents around the outside of this oval in white thread. You choose the color you would like your decorative stitches around the outside of this fabric to be. Put that thread in the top of your machine. Make sure you've got your needle threaded, and let's stitch out the decorative outline. It's a 1 minute in real life stitch out. Here we go. That's cool. So now we're going to stitch out the stars. And it's hard to see the stars on the screen because they're white, but I think I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to put my purple thread here. I know that the next step after this, we're going to be stitching the text, which I'm going to do in all black, and it's going to say Spooky Potions. Then I also know that my background, let me grab it here, for the bottle is going to be black with an orange top. So I think purple stars would help tie it in to the purple that's in the rest of the quilt, don't you think? Let's give it a shot, all right? So pick the color thread that you would like your stars to be and put that in the top of your machine. And you can go bold. You can try something that is unique, that blends in with the rest of your quilt. Just go for it. And you'll be surprised at how cool the outcome is. All right. So once I've got this thread loaded, I'm going to stitch this out. It's only a 1 minute stitch out, and I got a loop get that loop out because it will wrap around the foot, break your needle, or worse. We don't want that to happen. All right, let's stitch out these stars. Here we go. Those stars look really cool in the purple. There's only one little jump stitch that I need to take care of right now that it did right at the end using my curved scissors. These jump stitches are really easy to take care of. So if you can have a pair of curved scissors, I highly recommend these. These are Havel, and there's a link in the description below to where I purchased them on Amazon. They're really good for going in and getting those jump stitches. Okay, so now I need to switch my thread in the top of my machine to black. I also need you to take your hoop off the machine and switch out your bobbin to black. This really is a habit that's really good to get into when you're doing black and you're doing a lettering, because that way if it pulls and has any issues with any tension with your machine, when it does this, it's pulling black thread up from the bottom, not white. So then you'll eliminate that problem of having the white bobbin thread come up and you have black and white thread in your lettering. So I only need a little bit of black thread down below. So hopefully I have enough in this bobbin to finish this up. I'm going to put my hoop back on and I'm going to load black thread at the top of my machine. So now let's go ahead and stitch out the words Spooky Potion. Here we go. Okay, that's cute. All right, just a couple more jump stitches. One right between the P and the O in spooky. And there's one other little one, which I'm actually going to leave alone. It's between the I and the O, but it's so close to the other one, I don't want to accidentally nick that stitch. But isn't that cool? So I'll leave that one alone. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is I'm going to take this tape off. Okay. All right. So now I want you to go ahead and take this whole project out of the hoop. I'm going to get a pair of scissors here. These are my cutting scissors. All right. And put that hoop aside, because we'll need that here in a second. And then I want you to trim on this basting line, the one that the machine used to tack down this vinyl. It's also like a basting stitch, and that's where we're going to trim it. Okay, so I'll just do a little quick one here just to show you. And if you trim right on it, it's going to take out those stitches too. Okay, trim right on it, and I'm trimming the vinyl and the stabilizer at this point at the same time. Okay, right on that line. There we go. And one more side. Right on that basting tack down / trimming line. Okay, got it. I'm going to put that off to one side. Okay, now this is what we're left with. Okay, Spooky Potion with your vinyl and the wash away stabilizer on the back side. Now I want you to kind of curl up this wash away stabilizer, and I want you to trim as much as you can along this oval, but don't nick those stitches. So I'm going to go like 1/8 of an inch or even 1/4 of an inch away from those outside stitch line where we did the decorative stitching, because I don't want to nick that. I just want to get the excess of this stabilizer off the back. Okay, a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to throw that out. Okay, now I'm left with this. Okay, anything behind the fabric is going to be hidden, but I'm going to go ahead and just, not over my machine, but I'm going to snip some of these tall stitch threads here. Not all the way down to the bottom, just so that they can't stick out past that decorative stitch. Okay, what you're trying to do is get it to the point where that none of this thread is going to peek out in the future behind this clear vinyl, because once we stitch it down in the next step, there's no getting behind it. So again, I'm not trying to get rid of the stitches, I'm just trimming the tall grass, so to speak, of what may stick up toward the outer edge. If it's in the middle, I really don't care, because it's not going to stick out. But anything that's near the edges will stick out. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to take the thread away from the outside edge of the vinyl, and this one may need to be cut to get that away. There we go. Okay, so now what I want you to do, this is the back side of it. So now what I want you to do is to go to a sink with a paper towel. Get the paper towel lightly wet, and I want you to blot away the outside of that stitch line and make this water-soluble stabilizer disappear. Okay, don't actually do it and have it flow down your sink, because an accumulation of this over time will clog your sink. So I just use like a paper plate or a paper bowl or something that can accumulate this with a little bit of water, dab it with the paper towel, and get that off. So that part will be perfectly clear when you turn this around and you look at it. All of that stabilizer will be gone. So I'll meet you right back here when that's done. Okay, what I also had to do was I had to take the stabilizer off the back of this fabric as well, because as I was trying to clean off the edges, this was getting wet and then this was smudging the rest of the vinyl. So go ahead and put your paper towel down and soak and get the rest of that water-soluble stabilizer off the back of this. How will you know when it's off? When you can see a shiny surface on the back side. That means you're seeing the vinyl. That means all of that water-soluble stabilizer is gone. Okay? And then clean the vinyl. Get any of the smudge marks and things that may have occurred as you were trying to wipe that away. And then let this sit off to one side to thoroughly dry. All right? But we can go ahead and start on the second part of the block while this dries. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take my black bobbin out and put my white bobbin back in, because I want white thread down below. And I'm going to take the black thread out of the top of my machine, because I don't want black in there for the next step. I'm going to put a neutral white thread up on the top of my machine. Okay, so now let's go ahead and switch the design out. We're done with this one, so I'm going to go home. Yes, okay, to delete the selected pattern. Okay, so I'm going to go embroidery. Going to go to my flash drive. Going to go to pumpkins and potions. And I'm going to go to the quilting designs first. Okay, so Kimberbell has used Halloween 8. Let's do the same for this one. And I'm looking for a 4.5 by 6.5 or a 4 by 6. That's the one I want, so I'm going to click set. That looks good. Now I'm going to add. Now if you can't add, you'll stitch this first, clear your machine memory, then add the main embroidery design and stitch that out. But I'm going to go ahead and add it now. If I go to my flash drive, Pumpkins and Potions, and I'm looking for the potion bottles. Okay, come down here to the bottom, and there's 3 of them. There's 2 of them that have like kind of like a twisting top to it, like you would have a bottle cap. And then this one is like almost like a crescent moon shaped bottle cap. It's not that one. So it's one of these 2. The first one that we're going to do that we need today is the one with the black satin stitch outline. That's the one we're going to do. The second one, that is the orange, we will do in another video. The one that we're looking for is this one right here that has the black satin stitch around the outside edge. That's the one I want. Everything looks good. It brings it in perfectly centered, and I'm going to click embroidery. All right, now we're ready to go back to the hoop cam, and I have my 5 by 7 inch hoop reloaded with a piece of the poly no-show mesh stabilizer in it. All right, so let's make sure we have white thread up on top. Your bobbin has the white thread in it still since we changed it out. And now I'm going to stitch out the placement line for the batting. Here we go. Okay, now I want you to grab a piece of your batting that is measuring 5 by 7 inches. And then make sure you lay it down and it covers all of that placement line. Put your foot down, use your stylus to hold it in place, and let's tack down this batting. Okay, I got a couple stray threads here, and I'm just using tape to clean that up. All right, so now I want you to take your hoop off the machine, go to a table, and I want you to trim around and cut away all this excess batting around the outside of that stitch line, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so that's all trimmed up. Now let's put the foot down and stitch out the placement line for the fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to put my fabric down. I'm going to put these 2 pieces off to one side, and I'm going to deal with just the background fabric at this point. Now, if your fabric is directional, you need to make sure you have your top up here and your bottom down here. And let's see, which way do I like it? I think I'm going to do it that way. Okay, so now I just feel for the batting and make sure that I have approximately the same amount of fabric on each side and top and bottom. A little bit more up here. Just feel for that batting. You have oodles of fabric, all right? So there's no worry. You don't have to be 100% perfect. I'm going to leave white thread. Actually, I think this is where I want to switch it out. What color quilting do I want on this fabric? I think I'm going to change it from white to an ivory, which will match the background of my fabric, because this is going to have a potion bottle on it. It's going to have glitter or an accessory inside the vinyl. That's going to be the main showcase, and I have a busy background, so I don't want my quilting to compete with that. So I'm going to let it blend into the background, and since it's ivory, I think that is what I'm going to switch it out to, because if it was white, you would still see it a little bit too much. So pick a color thread of your choice that you would like to have your quilting done in, and go ahead and load that color thread in the top of your machine. Let's take the white out. Here we go. And then we're going to tack down this fabric in that same thread. Okay, we're ready to go. Let's do it. Foot down, and let's tack down the fabric. That's a good match. Okay, so now I'm going to do the quilting in the same color thread. All right, so put your foot down, and it's a 2-minute in real life stitch out. Enjoy. Very nice. I love the way that turned out. Okay, so now I'm going to take the hoop gently off the machine. I want to swap my bobbin thread out, taking out the white and putting in a bobbin of black thread. We're going to be doing the outline here in a little bit. With my fabric is black, so I want that thread to match. Now, where's my black? Here it is. This is my black. If your potion bottle is going to be a different color, then that's the color thread that I want you to put in the top of the machine. If it's not black, then I would highly recommend doing a matching bobbin of whatever color that is and put that in the bottom so that you don't have any tension or pull issues when we do the satin stitching. But I've gone ahead and put black thread up in the top and a black bobbin to match down below. You do the same on yours. Whatever color thread's on top, match it on the bottom. Okay? So now let's put the foot down. Let's stitch out the outline or the placement line for the potion bottle fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to put the potion bottle fabric down, making sure I've covered that placement line on all sides. And when you've done that, you can put the foot down and let's tack down the potion bottle fabric. You got this. Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop gently off the machine, and I want you to go over to the table and I want you to trim away the excess fabric from around the outside edge of that potion bottle. Trim close, but try not to nick those stitches. Just get as close as you can. There will be a satin stitch outline around the outside. Just try not to nick those stitches, okay? And I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so then what I like to do afterwards, since I'm doing black, I just like to use a piece of Scotch tape and get all the extra little fuzz balls and or fraying threads off of the side of this. One more. So it's a little bit cleaner when it goes under for the satin stitches. And one. Okay, that looks good. Scotch tape does wonders just to clean stuff up a little bit. Alright, so now I'm going to have to rethread my black thread. There we go. Make sure we don't have a loop. Alright, so now let's go ahead and stitch out the satin stitches around, which mine are going to be in black thread. It's about a 4-minute in real life stitch out. So sit back and enjoy. Alright, love satin stitches. So classy. It just finishes the edges up so beautifully. Okay, so now I've gotten the Spooky Potion vinyl that we created earlier. It's all dry. And now I just kind of polished it with a soft cloth to try to get any of the smudges off of the back side and the front side as possible. The front you can clean later. The back side you won't be able to. And make sure that none of the threads are going to stick out from the outside of that decorative stitch line. All right, put that aside, and we're going to leave black thread up on top, and we're going to stitch out the placement line of where we're going to put this vinyl. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take the hoop gently off the machine so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And now I'm going to position this vinyl so that it's centered inside that stitch line. All right, so when I do that, I can also take a look at my bottle and I can say, is my bottle centered? Yeah, my Spooky Potion label is going to be centered between those two edges very nicely. So I want to take a piece of embroidery tape and I'm going to make sure I'm where I want to be. And I'm going to tape that down and do the same thing, double checking my Spooky Potion. It's going to overlap that satin stitch a little bit, but I want the same amount of black showing on the left as I do on the right. Okay. Okay, something like that. Let's see, can you see it there? So I'm basically positioned nicely over that, and then I'm just going to put a couple small pieces on the side, just so that it does not move. All right, actually let me redo this bottom one, smooth it out and lay it down. All right, how does that look? It's hard to see, but I think I've got it. There you go. All right, so that's where it's going to tack it down. Doesn't that look cool? All right, so I'm going to put the hoop back on the machine, leave black thread up on top, and now it's going to tack down that vinyl. It's going to go all the way around the left side, the bottom, and up to the right side, and it's going to stop. All right, here we go. Okay, that is cool. All right, so now I want you to go into your embellishment kit and pull out the orange holographic glitter. This is going to be fun. Also going to be a little messy, but this is going to be fun. All right, put that to one side. Then I have grabbed 2 straws from my kitchen. All right, what we're going to use these straws for is a little bit of support in order to lift up the vinyl just a little bit to allow us to insert the glitter. All right, now we don't want to use like a pencil or a pen or anything that's thick and hard, because you risk the chance of permanently stretching out this vinyl, which you don't want to do. Okay, so straws, you know, are kind of squishy and pliable and will squish down if any force is pressed on them. So they're actually kind of perfect for doing what we're going to do right now. So you can tell I just took off the tape, and now I'm going to just gently, ever so gently, insert the straw. And you can see it's flattened, which is what I want, because I don't want too much hard item down below to potentially stretch out this vinyl. Okay, and I put it to the side, and I'm going to open this confetti. I'll do this on a table. I'm doing this on the machine so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm literally just going to put as much as I can down here in the potion bottle. Let's try to move these over to the side a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to put it all in, whatever I can get in, because the other 2 potion bottles have their own type of confetti glitter that will be used for those. So I really don't have any other need for all of this. So I'm going to put it all in. Okay. Here we go. We can do this. All right, so I'm going to very gently open it up. And I can see where the opening is on the plastic. I'm going to cut this off because I don't want this flap to be interfering with my pouring because it will turn over and get stuck. Okay, so now I'm going to just pour and insert the confetti, and then I'm going to use my stylus here to help move it in. Okay, and then I'm going to raise the hoop just a little bit. I'm going to do it this way so you can still see what I'm doing. I'm going to raise the hoop up and still try to push that down in between the straws. Okay, it's delicate surgery just to get it in there. Some of it's spilling out over here. I'll get that later. I'm not too worried about that. A little much there, but I can go ahead and push it in between the straws and push it down. Okay. And a little bit more. Almost done. There we go. Like I said, it's a little messy, but it's not something we can't clean up. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and try to get a little bit more out. That's enough. I'm not going for all that little stuff. Alright, so now I'm going to raise the hoop again, if you can see it here. And I'm just going to feed it down in between the straws. Okay. Brush that over, and I'm going to take the first straw out. And then put that down, because I don't want this mess to get in my machine. That would not be cool. So this is why I highly recommend doing it on a table. Okay. A little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to actually tilt it more. You might not be able to see this on camera, but I'm going to tilt it. There we go, and just keep inserting all of this in. All right, I'm going to take it off and put it on a table so I can tilt it a little bit more, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so I've got it this far, and I've taken the second straw out. So again, I'm going to just tilt it up a little bit so gravity can help me put the rest of this in. Okay. This is not an easy process. It just takes time to get what you want in, and there's some little stragglers. We can always clean that up, like over a trash can. But just, you know, I don't like wasting, so I try to get as much as I can in here. And then you can use the straw to kind of help you arrange it. Now, it can be moved once it's sewn down. You want to at least get the confetti down so it's about 1/2 inch below where it's going to be sewing the bottle cap down. So I just figure at least, you know, try to get it 1/2 inch below this top stitch where it's stitched the vinyl. That way your needle's not going to be getting jammed up with that. And I think that's pretty good. I'm not aiming for every single piece of glitter in here. I'm aiming for the majority of it. Okay. Now I'm going to take the tape and I'm going to clean up the excess glitter that is not on the inside, so that it doesn't get in my machine. Okay, do not go near the opening to my machine. No, we don't want that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and clean the rest of this up, and it's going to look great. Okay, there's a little bit over here. Let me see if I can get that out from underneath the vinyl there. Alright, it's close enough. It's close enough. I cannot expect to get every piece of glitter in there. Alright, let's just clean it up so that we are good to stitch. Okay, we can do more cleanup afterwards if there's some stragglers that got out here. I just don't want any of these teeny tiny pieces jumping out and getting on my machine like that. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so that's what I want. There's some stragglers there. I'll clean that up when we trim the vinyl. So now I want to gently put the hoop back on the machine, and now it's going to do a tack down up and secure the top part of this vinyl. So actually what I want to do, I want to put a piece of tape, just a small piece of tape on this top part. There we go. Let's do that. Okay, very gently. Black thread still on the top of the machine. Here we go. Very cool. Alright, so now take this over to the table, and I want you to trim away the excess vinyl from around all of the outside of the bottle. Don't get too close. This is raw edge applique, and there will be no further stitching around this side. So don't nick those stitches. Just get as close as you can, as clean as you can, and trim away that excess vinyl. And I'll meet you right here. Alright, isn't that cool? That is very cool. Alright, so I'm going to put the hoop gently back on the machine. I want to leave black thread up on the top because we're going to do the bottle cap now, and it's going to be doing black stitching to match this black bottle. So black thread can stay on the top and even in the bottom on the bobbin side. And let's stitch out the placement line for the bottle cap. And you can get out your piece of fabric that we're going to be using here in a second for the bottle cap. Here we go. Okay, I saw a couple pieces of glitter jumping around here, so I want to get that off. A couple on my hoop there, because I do not want those in my machine. Okay, so I'm going to put the hoop back on, and now we have the orange fabric, or whatever color fabric you have for your bottle top. And just put that down, cover all the placement lines, and I'm just going to use my stylus to hold it down. And let's tack down the bottle cap. You got this. We're almost done. Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop gently off the machine, take it over to the table, and I want you to trim away all of this excess fabric from around that stitch line. And I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so I trimmed that up. Now I'm going to use black thread still because it's going to do decorative stitching around that fabric to blend in with the bottle. So here we go. All right, Now the machine is showing one more step, which is just a line from here to here. We do not stitch that step out. We don't want this line showing on the top. Kimberbell uses that just to program the machine to tell it where to center the design. So we do not want to stitch that out, which means that we're done stitching for this block, all right? Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to take this over to the table, and I'm going to show you how to finish this block up. Didn't this block turn out awesome? Love that glitter, even though it's a little messy to get it in there. Once it's done, it's really cool. So we have two things left to do on this block. First thing we're going to do is we're going to square it up, and I want you to look for the outside stitch line that we did. In my case was ivory thread. It's the outside stitch line, and I'm going to measure it because it needs to measure 4.5 inches from here to here, and it does, and then 6.5 inches from here to here, which is just shy of 6.5, so that will work. So let's square this block up first. I'm going to look for that outer stitch line, and I'm going to go to where my ruler is right on it, and now I want to go just off to the hair just a little bit. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. And I'm going to make that cut. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it around, measure it up on my mat. So my mat goes from 24 inches down to 1. I'm going to line it on 17, and it needs to go down to 11.5. And this one's going to be a little rocky because you're going to have some bulk here for the potion bottle. So you need to make sure you put the weight on the right side of the ruler. And I'm going to line up the line on the ruler with this stitch line. And then I'm going to line it up with my mat on 11.5. And can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. So I can make that cut. Okay, now we're going to do side to side. So I've gone to that stitch line. I'm going to line up this ruler with the bottom here because I know that's straight, and I'm still going to have bulk from the potion bottle. So I'm going to put it on the stitch line and go just a hair past it. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. And I make the cut. And then I come over here, going to line it up, say on 15. And we want to go 4.5 inches, so it's going to go to 11.5. I'm going to line my ruler up with the bottom and make sure I'm lined up on my mat on 11.5. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. I'm off a little bit, so I'm going to reposition myself. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, it's just underneath that ruler. I make the cut. You see I kept my weight on the right side of the ruler so that it would be stable. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to take out these placement lines where we put the vinyl. They're not meant to stay in there forever, so I want to take my seam ripper and I'm going to very carefully take those stitches out. So let's fast forward through and get these stitches out of here. Alright, so those start and stop points are a little challenging to get out, but you can also tackle it from the back side here and get those out because you don't want those showing in your project. Isn't that cool? I love the glitter effect. Awesome, you did it! Congratulations! So I hope you had as much fun today making this block as I did, and I hope you stay tuned here on Jelly Molly TV for more fun and more awesome blocks in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions Ladder Quilt Project. And until I see you next time, take care and happy stitching. Bye-bye.